Welcome back, everybody, to Innovating Automation with Balluff. I'm your host, Nathaniel Scroggins, and today I'm here with
Tom Knauer. I'm in the product management team in headquarters, and I do a variety of tasks, including a lot of stuff on condition monitoring and IoT and smart manufacturing.
Awesome, which I think leads us well to what we're going to talk about here today. Tom gave a pretty fantastic speech here at Automate, and I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about what you were giving to the people.
Yeah. So I was talking about data-driven management and process monitoring and condition monitoring, and actually the historical basis for that. Many of us in the industry thought, and this was my paradigm, that this is a real new recent innovation of going to more proactive management of condition monitoring and predictive maintenance. But it turns out that using data to improve your maintenance processes goes pretty far back in history, about 85 years or so.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with what you presented there. I hadn't really heard that kind of paradigm or that connection before, but it also made me think. You talked a lot about looking back. Where does condition monitoring go next? Like, what's the future point that we're moving towards?
I think there's some really interesting things that are coming because of the enabling technologies. And that's where it's great that Balluff is one of the key players here. I overly pitch that we bring that data from the lowest level of the machine or the factory using our sensors, and then network it up through the condition monitoring toolbox, through our IO-Link masters and so on, and bring it up to a level in the factory where the people that are using that data can put it into a control system, to a SCADA system, or the cloud. And that whole cloud is where a lot of exciting things are going on, moving not just to condition monitoring and predictive maintenance, but to prescriptive maintenance, where you start to not only recognize a problem is going to occur, but you give the people on the floor a prescription on how to deal with that problem that's going to occur.
Yeah, I think that's the important portion. I think when we got started with condition monitoring, I think we were really just trying to show people the technology, the vibration and temperature sensors, the process sensors, the gateways, and I think it took us a while to understand that the approach is breaking it down and educating people on what style of maintenance that they currently have and where they need to go is super important. I got a lot out of your last year's Automate talk for that portion, but then you expanded on it more today. So, more yesterday when you gave your talk. What else should we know about the maintenance approaches?
So I think, one of the key things that comes out of looking back in the history is that, the approach of using data to start to make informed decisions, how to allocate your resources, and how to decide where you're going to take a more proactive approach in your facility and on your machinery versus a more reactive approach is kind of an important lesson that came out of this, and it's kind of an important lesson that I learned looking at that data from the history. To paraphrase real quickly, the RAF during World War II was having a problem with having enough planes to fly on missions to hunt U-boats, submarines. And in the end, they realized that scheduling and maintenance was a challenge, that they were maintaining things that didn't need to be maintained or not maintaining things that should be maintained. And using data, which is what they did to do that, applies very well to today. So that in your facility, you've got a variety of machines, a variety of components on the machines, using the data to say, this component has a very low likelihood of failure and a very low impact if it fails. Maybe we don't need to do proactive maintenance on that. On a different component, maybe it's very important to the facility and to the process, and a high cost of failure, long time to repair. That is the component that you want to start to monitor more proactively. So you take different approaches in the factory depending on the importance, and you can optimize your resources, you can optimize your spending, you can optimize your monitoring and predictive maintenance process.
I think that's a really good point to make, because a lot of people might think, oh, I've got to get all in on predictive maintenance, and it's everything. It's going to be so expensive, and it's going to take a lot of time. And I really like that approach. Is evaluate what you have. Reactive maintenance or preventative maintenance might be a good fit for certain portions. Low impact assets where that could make sense. But this predictive model or condition model helps us gain more out of high high use, high value assets.
Yep.
And so it's really good, and I think Balluff can do a really great job of helping people evaluate that.
Well, and I was just going to say, this is where our solution is really kind of nice. The condition monitoring toolkit can connect to a variety of sensors, and we can go in and actually help a customer do some just tests and trials. A BCM sensor with a magnetic attachment can be placed on different parts of a motor or gearbox, and you can start to say, oh yeah, it works this way, or in this, maybe we need to reposition it, or maybe we need to put it on a different part of the application, and you can move it around and kind of fine tune, and then scale it up, right? And that's the really nice thing about our little package of, and you've made those test kits, right?
Yeah,
I can't remember the official name.
The lab kit.
The
yeah,
lab
I think
kit.
It helps lower the barrier of entry for people as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the test and trial. I think is a really unique way that Balluff stays flexible to help our customers. But kind of leading into my next question is, what else is making Balluff unique in the space? And I'm going to add a little bit more context to it. We talk a lot about our system being DIY versus condition monitoring as a service. We get compared to those a lot. So I'd love to hear your perspective on it. What makes us unique? How can we help people in
I think
those ways?
That's a really important distinction, because we are following the philosophy on condition monitoring like we do with so much of our other solutions. Again, gathering that data at the base level, and then providing the networking and the interfaces so that you can take that data and put it where you need as a user. We focus very much on providing the hardware and those interfaces, and that the customer owns everything. They own the hardware, they own the data, they own the solution. The condition monitoring as a service providers, and there's a variety of them out there, they still continue to own the hardware and the software, and most importantly, the data. They retain the control of that. And that's, for some users, that's fine, because they want to outsource everything. But many users we find, they want to own that. They want to use that data for a variety of things. And so that's where we come in as that, yes, it's somewhat of a DIY solution, but you own it. Yeah. And that's kind of a key distinction between us and those condition monitoring service people.
Yeah, I think.
And there's no subscription, right?
Right, yeah, I think that's all about lowering the barrier of entry and giving people, I think owning your own data is so important, because you don't have to just store and use that data for condition monitoring. That could be used to impact another portion of your plan. So I think it's important for customers to own their own data and own the process.
And we've had a lot of customers come to us and say, we are using a condition monitoring as a service. We've outsourced it. We're paying these guys a subscription fee, and they're retaining the data. We want that data. We want to own it.
They're doing the analysis for them, and that's like, it can be very costly.
And so a lot of companies have come back to us and said, we want to go with Balluff now because of that whole thing about the data coming in, using it in their IoT initiative, using it for more than condition monitoring, predictive maintenance, and building it out as part of their whole industrial Internet of Things philosophy, smart manufacturing philosophy, and adding it as just one element. And again, our tools are really good to enable a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, one more question for you.
Okay.
I know we're running on time here. So we get asked a lot about wireless sensors. I think when we're compared to the condition monitoring out in the market. What's your take on wireless versus wired vibration temperature, I think, being the most important one?
So I think it depends a lot on the application. The wireless, the challenge is for most of the wireless solutions out there right now, there's a transmission sequence. And often those cycles of transmitting the data are minutes or even longer. That means you've got a lag between when the sensor senses something and you being able to take action. Our BCMs are, of course, wired sensors through IO-Link, just like any other sensor that you might have on your machine, and they're enabling that real-time control. So if you've got a process where, let's just say, you want to be able to shut down the process or slow it down immediately when you start to sense excessive vibration, excessive heat, the real-time control that we're providing is going to be critical for that.
Yeah.
that time lag on those most of those wireless solutions is going to be a challenge. Whether it's a minute or a day, you know, aren't going to have that real time control and that real time reaction.
Yeah.
And that might be okay.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. It's application specific. I think of it too. I mean, having done a lot of condition monitoring projects over the last several years, when people want wireless, they want it because they want to put it in a super disparate area, and it's like you don't realize those also have a battery in them, and usually you're going to have to replace that battery. Do you really feel like you're going to be able to go back into that area and change that battery when you need to?
And the thing is, if you transmit the data more frequently from a wireless sensor, the battery runs down more quickly.
That battery. So I think being careful of where you're placing it too. I don't think there's any right answer between either or. It's look at your application. Truthfully, how are you going to maintain that sensor long term? So I think that's it for our time. I really appreciate you being on. I love having these conversations with you. I loved your talk yesterday. So thanks again for being on, and we'll catch you guys the next time.
And thank you for helping promote condition monitoring and predictive maintenance. You're doing a great job, and Balluff's doing a great job. We're really winning.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks.